I've generated multiple six figures in my agency using this exact sales structure for my discovery meetings. So make sure you stay into the end because I'm going to be giving you literally everything you need step by step to make this happen for you too. And just a quick announcement, we've been making some major updates to my agency guaranteed mentorship program. So if you're looking to guarantee that you land paying clients in your agency or you don't pay, check out the top link in the description. So look, I can fully relate. You're booking meetings, you're jumping on discovery calls, but for some reason, nothing seems to be progressing. You're not closing at the percentage that you want to, you're not landing the kind of clients you want to, the fees aren't as high as you want them to be. What I'm gonna be going through in this video is an 8-step process, all of which, by the way, are as important as each other, to go through the exact structure that you need to take in your sales calls to make a success and make sure you're constantly progressing the sale. Now, really important note, what I'm giving you isn't an exact script, okay? I don't think scripts per se work fantastic if you sound like you're reading from a piece of paper like a robot. Instead, what I'm gonna be giving you is an exact structure to follow that you can have next to you in bullet points on every single discovery call to make sure you're progressing the sale and closing more clients. So the first part of the structure, the first part of the call always needs to be take control of the call and lead it. Even from the very beginning, you should be the first person to speak on the call. You want to take the lead. Basically pre-frame the structure of that call very, very early on. And this is important, by the way, because if you don't do this first step, all of these other steps don't matter. This is basically the foundation for the rest of the call. And it's something as simple as building a little bit of relationship, bit of back and forth questions. But when the time feels right, just jump in to set the structure, okay? Set the agenda. So you could go something like this. Okay, that all sounds great, John. Now, if it's cool with you, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by just asking you a bunch of questions just about your business, your product, what it is you're looking for, maybe some of your problems and pain points and bottlenecks that you're facing. From there, what I can then do is, first of all, see if I can actually help, and after that, give you some insight on exactly what it is we do. Does that sound okay to you? We're gonna go through the rest of this structure, but you're basically setting the structure for the call from that very first second so it doesn't go off track. And you're also basically taking the lead, showing confidence, and it helps build authority. Really important, step one, you take control of the call, you set the agenda. So step two, before we jump into the structure of the rest of the call, we need to focus on two things throughout the whole discovery call. Number one, you want to lead with passion and good intention throughout this whole call, because if you do that, that's going to bleed through to your prospect and it's going to show them that you have the belief in their product and service as much as they do. And number two, you want to make sure that your prospect knows that your number one focus for this call is to help them. You can tell your prospect, my goal is to help you make a decision on this call. And that decision is A, are we a good fit? Or B, if we're not a good fit, no problem. Hopefully we can point you in the direction of somebody who is. Now that's going to put your prospect massively at ease because people hate being sold to, and the last thing people want to think is they're on a call with somebody whose number one only focus is to just get money out of their pockets. Instead, if you lead with that good intention and you tell them, look, I just want to help you make a decision and we're only going to give you information on if we can help you and work together if you're actually a good fit, and we know that we can help solve your problem that you're having. So make sure your prospect is aware of that from the very beginning. It's going to set you up nicely and show out of the gate that you're there with the best intentions and you're there to help them. Number three, the third thing that you want to start doing now is the deep dive and questions aspect of the call. This is where it's your number one goal to find out as much information about the business, about the product, about the person, the owner, and basically just deep dive to get as much information as possible. Any good sales call, any good discovery call, you as the agency or the freelancer should be actually listening the majority of the call. Your prospect should be talking, because how can you solve a problem or how can you help somebody if you don't actually know initially what their problems are, what issues they're facing and what they're looking for? So number one goal is to deep dive and ask a bunch of questions. This can be, how long have you been in business? How many employees do you have? What's your monthly revenue? What's your ad spend? Have you run ads before? All of the above. You want to deep dive and find out as much information about the business, about their current marketing efforts, and about the business owner as possible. And a real key tip around this third step is you want to make sure you're actively listening throughout this whole process. If a prospect's telling you and you're just sat there on Zoom with like a dead face, not showing any interest, not showing any interaction, it's going to make it seem like you do not care. It's very important that you actively listen. So, if you're on a Zoom call face to face, ideally as well, you're shaking your head, you're like, yeah, makes sense. Great. Not just listening, show that you're actively listening to the prospect. This is showing that you do genuinely care because you're hearing out their business and listening to their problems. The fourth step off the back of asking all of these questions is you want to make sure you keep asking questions until you've identified their biggest pain points. Any marketing, any sales is just pain solution. The most successful businesses just solve the biggest problems. If our goal is to get this prospect across the line and close them and work with them, we really need to identify what are their big pain points right now. What are they struggling with? What issues are they running into? Maybe if they're working with an agency right now, what's causing them to leave that agency? Is it bad communication? Is it no results? Whatever it is, you want to find out and ask what their big bottlenecks are, what their big problems are. And this is really important because it leads us into our next step, which is going to be to make sure that we're offering a solution to those problems. So step 5 is how you can help solve that problem. We spoke about in the beginning about having the right intentions and making sure we're there to help the business. Obviously, you can only explain that you can help solve a problem if you can genuinely help solve that problem. If you've heard out the prospect to this point and it realizes maybe you're not a good fit, this would actually be the point in the call where you say, look, it actually seems like maybe we're misaligned in terms of our service delivery to what it is that you're looking for, but I can point you in a different direction. But 99 times out of 100, the chances are if they're looking for Facebook ad service or Google ad service, social management, you can probably help solve that problem. What you then want to do is explain exactly how you as a business can help solve their big problems. If they told you it's communication, yes, you can highlight your structure, how you work as a business, but you want to put a main focus around how good your communication service is, how you report, how you jump on calls, what times you're available, how they can access you. The more that you can provide a solution to their problems, the more likely that they are actually going to move forward with you. Now, in addition to explaining how you can solve their pain points, this is the part of the call where you just want to explain a bit about your business, how you work, and a really smart thing to do here, if possible as well, is build authority into how you solve their problems. So for example, if you've worked with prospects before and you can bring up a screenshot that says, the communication with you guys is so great, that's authority building into the solution. Show how you can provide that solution, back that up with actual screenshots, social proof, and results. So normally what I like to do after that is I basically open it to them and just say, look, have you got any questions about the service, how we work? And basically at that point, you open yourself up to answer some more questions if they have it about the product and service. Once that's out of the way, we basically go on to the next stage. Stage 6 is where we want to discuss price. So if we're all aligned at this point, we found out all the information we need to know, we've answered their questions, we've provided some insight on what we can do to help. This is where you want to make sure you price your services. Now, I think we can all agree that the biggest objection that happens on sales calls generally comes down to price. It's really important, first of all, that before you even take these calls, you qualify that they can actually afford your services before you jump on a call. The best way to do this is when you have a calendar, you get people to book in, you get them to put in their monthly revenue, or you get them to put in their web traffic or that monthly ad spend. These are all things that will give you some level of insight on the size of the company to make sure that they can afford your monthly retainer. But provided you're on this call, you know they're qualified, this point is now where you want to price. Now you've got full insight on what exactly they need doing, you can then put a price to that. So you may go into the client and say, look, based off of everything we've discussed, am I right in thinking you want Google ads, you want Facebook ads, and you want social media management, 2 posts a week going out on X, Y, and Z platforms? Is that correct? Perfect. Based off everything you've told me, for X, Y, and Z, you're going to be looking at a monthly investment of £2,000 per month. That's going to be £1,000 a month for Facebook, £1,000 a month for Google, and we're actually going to throw in the social media management for you free of charge, just as an example. So you price your services. Now the key thing to do here, and I know this is very Wolf of Wall Street, but after you price your services, you just want to go quiet. And the reason for that is so many times early in my journey as an agency owner, I would price my services and then I would justify like immediately afterwards. And that's because I had imposter syndrome over the fees I was charging. So what I used to do was, it's £1,000 a month, and it's £1,000 a month because we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and I would just justify my price to the point before I've even had a prospect on a call say, it's okay, you don't have to justify that, we're happy with the fee. But I think we all do that. You just want to get the realistic response. Are they okay with price? Is it hesitant for them? Or are they just completely misaligned and it's completely too expensive? Now, once you've done that, you just want to ask the difficult question. How does that sound? How does that price work with you? Is that what you had in mind budget-wise? Just ask the question. By asking the question, you allow them to be a bit more vulnerable and come back and say like, no, that doesn't work. And if you do that, this is where you can negotiate. So if they come back and say, look, £1,000, not what I had in mind, I was thinking more £500, you may be able to go back and negotiate and say, look, what we could do $750 a month plus a percentage of profit, so it alleviates the risk. You could do 500 plus percentage of profit, all sorts of stuff. You can get experimental and you can negotiate if you want to, once you've got an understanding that there is actually an objection to the price. But ideally, whatever you do here, number 1 is you progress towards the close, or number 2, you then overcome those price objections. This then takes us nicely on to step 7, which is just overcoming any other objections. One question I like to ask on every call to get realistic objections out of them is just, is there anything holding you back from moving forward? Because what that's going to do is it's going to allow them to share with you any reasons. So they might say something like, oh, well, I've got to go and speak to my business partner, or they might say, I just want to go away and think about it. They might give you other reasons. Whatever it may be, you're opening yourself up for more objections, to which you can then obviously overcome those objections where necessary. But from experience, 9 times out of 10, the objection is going to be a price objection. So if you've already overcome that, or they've already agreed on the price, that really nicely actually takes us into the final stage, which is actually going to be getting a commitment. commitment. Now, whether they did use that old objection of I need to speak to a business partner or whether they're looking to move forward, the key thing on every single call is you want to get some kind of commitment. This is basically called like the foot in the door technique. If you've got your foot in the door, it's going to be so much easier for them to fully open it, right? If you get that one step forward and you've got that commitment, it's 10 times more likely they're actually going to progress with you. So what is a commitment? Well, the top ideal commitment is you're on the call and you say, great, does everything sound good? You're happy with price? You're happy with us? Should we actually just get this kicked off right now on the call? Great, let me send you an invoice. You receive the invoice, awesome. Do you want to get that paid? And we'll just get onboarded now and we'll get started. So yeah, in an ideal situation, you'll just get that payment on the call and you'll progress things nicely straight off the bat. But realistically, in most situations, that isn't going to be what happens. You know, people have to go away and think about it. People have got to speak to their business partners. So what do you do in that situation? Well, you've got a couple of options. My favorite thing to do is always book in another call. This should be a bog standard thing. You should always book in another call. Even if the client's committed to moving forward with you, you should always book in that next onboarding call. There always needs to be some level of call booking commitment. So ideally what you would say is, look, okay, I fully understand. I respect you've got to go away and think about it. So you should. It's a big decision. You're speaking to other people. So you should go and keep your options open. But what I think we should do, if it's okay with you, let's book ourselves in for a call on Wednesday. And then what you can do is go away and think about it. We'll jump on a call on Wednesday. And then if any questions or reasons why you may not want to move forward come up before then, we can have a little chat. Does that work? Great. Schedule the time in right there and then on the call. Book in another call. But another thing you can do, which is really cool, is you can actually get access for some kind of audit. Another thing that I like to do is say, cool, no problem. Why don't we do this? You go away and think about it. But rather than just me giving you like cookie cutter advice like I have done, you know, on this call here today, why don't you give me access to your ad account whilst we're on the call now? Just view only access. I won't be able to touch anything. We'll jump on. We'll have a look through your ads. We'll look specifically where you're leaving money on the table. And I'll put together a bit of a strategy and exact action plan on where we can actually help you. So it's not cookie cutter advice. It's actually specific to your current situation and what you're doing right now on your ads. How does that sound? Great. Cool. Should we book in a call for Thursday? If you give me access now on the call, we'll get this prep for Thursday and I'll get an audit together. We'll go through it on the call together on Thursday. Boom. So again, that's like a sort of a doubler. That is audit and a call at the same time. And sometimes you can do other smaller commitments. So it might be something like, okay, great, you're ready to move forward. Let me just shoot you the invoice. It might be, let me send you the onboarding process to your email. It might be something as simple as, let me get you inside of Slack ready and prepared so we can get kicked off on Friday. You know, whatever it may be, regardless of whether they're looking to pay and move forward or going away to think about it, get a commitment on every single call. And for me, above and beyond all of the steps, this final one of getting a commitment is going to be the biggest needle moving thing for you to actually get more closes. If you get the commitment, it just progresses the sale extremely nicely. But look, now you should be closing far more deals if you follow that exact structure. So I'm sure once you start closing more deals, you're going to need a professional way to onboard all of those clients into your agency. So click here, watch this video. I've got a 100% free of charge onboarding process that you can plug and play into your agency, and click here to subscribe for more videos.